Thank you, Mayor Johnson. I'm David Bloom. I live on Sibley Road. I've lived here for 29 years. Well, February was fun, wasn't it? Council voted to represent the overwhelming sentiment of the people. Chief Toth copped a lame-o excuse, Pete Flintoff got trounced by a law student, and Judge Frushauer read you the Constitution. Bottom line, Mayor Johnson, you wasted our time and tax dollars going after our kids. We also saw that the system works, that the right thing happens. Bill Ruddock's complaint touched off Bruce Judge's investigation. Chelsea rallied around its defendant families. We attracted a ton of media attention. The cyber courtroom drama unfolded. The gavel came down. Bravo. Oscars all around. Now, we know the system works, so we can use it to spark reforms that otherwise would be swept under Mayor Johnson's rug or under Chief Toth's bus. You have 8 months to get it done, council members, because 8 months from tomorrow, Chelsea votes on 4 city council seats, including Mayor Johnson's. Thanks to your leadership, we know exactly what the defining issue of this election is going to be. Council members, incumbents, challengers, voters want to know, will you run on a platform of convenience, of smooth flowing traffic on state roads, of writing illegal tickets that silence our kids? Will you run on a platform of police surveillance, of using selective enforcement to intimidate your opponents? Will you run on a platform of retribution instead of restorative justice? Will you run against the overwhelming sentiment of your voters? Or will you run on the Constitution of the United States of America? Will you run on the very first sentence of the First Amendment? That's our very first law, the foundation of our government. Freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, redress of grievances. Written 230 years ago, it's as fresh today as when James Madison first wrote it in 1791. Council members, you represent the people of Chelsea. Whatever the city charter or the state constitution says, you swore an oath to uphold the US Constitution. Judge Frushauer wrote her opinion directly to you. You on the council direct our city's executive branch, the mayor, city manager, and police chief. If anyone interprets our city charter differently, Judge Frushauer says they're wrong, and hers is the last word on the subject. She listened to the arguments, she read the case law, and she rendered her opinion. Judge Frushauer did her job. She dropped her gavel, she dropped the mic, and she dropped the charges against Chelsea's kids and their families, just like you wanted her to. What a great beginning for Chelsea's 8 months of reform. Because that's what this was always about, council members. Last month, you told us you were overwhelmed by citizens voicing their concern. You spoke of the optics of Chelsea as a racist town, and you voted unanimously to do something about it. Well, now's your chance. In the coming months, you will hear all manner of lame-o excuses for not following through on the institutional reforms coming out of your own Human Rights Commission and your whistleblower law report. Lame-o excuses why we can't have diversity training, citizen oversight, community policing. Your city attorney, you know, the guy that got beat by the law student, he may interpret the city charter to say what you can and can't do. Remind him and the executive he serves who's in charge here. You are, council members. And the next time some bully, some coward quotes you 30-year-old case law to say why reform can't happen in Chelsea, you remind her of the 230-year-old law that says why reform is coming. To the lame duck voices standing in the way of justice, speak the immortal words of James Madison. Speak the immutable words of Judge Frushauer. Speak the unsilenceable words of Maya King. Chelsea has been there, done that. We know how this ends. Now you can give the overwhelming majority of your voters the durable, systemic reforms they demand. Reforms that address the horrendous optics that Mayor Johnson brought down on our town. You can make sure this kind of thing never happens again in Chelsea. We're behind you, council members. Now let's get to work. November 2nd will be here before you know it. I yield my time.